Hello, everyone. I am Tracy DeMario, and I'm the Scented Bliss Family Superstar Director. I am super glad that you guys are all here and that we can make every effort possible and set you guys up for as much success as possible this month so that you can promote during the month of November. So I don't know if you'll think this is good or bad news. However, I thought given that you guys are lead, we didn't really need to do a PowerPoint. I just kind of did my outline here and we're just going to follow that outline. So here's our reality. We have just under 30 days to make this happen. And it is very possible to see you guys promote to star consultant. Whether you have a team of one, and I see some of you guys have 3, 4, 7, regardless of how many are on your team right now, it is 100% doable with the right action steps for each one of you that are with us to promote to star. It's all a matter of action. What I often find is that once you guys hit lead and you hear the numbers, oh my goodness, I need 500 PRV. Oh my goodness, I need 2,500 TWV. And I need 2 active frontline. And it took me forever. It was really hard for me to find the one team member. Sometimes we let that little itty bitty negative committee in our head get in our way and stop us from moving forward. So we are here to just put that out of the way. It's not allowed to enter. We are full speed ahead and we're focused on next level, and that is star. So if you didn't know that already, I just went over the qualifications. You're going to need 500 PRV, 2 active frontline, and then between you and your team, you're going to need a total of 2,500 TWV. And here's how we're going to do that. We do not want to overcomplicate this, and we don't want to make it seem too far-fetched. So we're going to break it down, and I'm going to give you the tasks and the tools necessary to do that this month. So first and foremost, and some of you guys have heard some of this before, some of this is not new, but this is a concentrated effort just for the next 30 days. Well, it's something you're going to want to practice regularly, but right now we're all in this. We are in it to win it right now. So your first priority obviously is you have to have your 500 PRV. That is something you personally at a minimum need to do in order to promote to star. So to ensure that that happens, you need to have 6 to 8 bookings of some kind. So when we refer to bookings, typically people think parties. Sure, parties work, but that can also mean fundraisers. Then there's a lot of virtual fundraisers that people are doing right now. That can mean events. And believe it or not, people are actually having events depending on where you live in the US. There are people that are doing events. So that's very possible. It's also possible to do virtual events, which is something new that has been happening quite frequently as well. So whatever type of activities, as long when we say bookings, we're kind of encompassing all of that. So you want 6 to 8 of those happening. If you only have 1, you need to get your priorities have to be on bookings. If you have 4, your priorities still have to be on bookings. Here's what we know. I hope all 6 to 8 hold, but the reality is there's going to be some that are going to cancel and there's some that are going to be flops. I don't care how good you are or how long you've been a consultant, it will happen to you. People are going to cancel, they're going to bail, and you're going to have flops. That's your reality. That's why you don't just plan on 2 or 3. You want 6 to 8 on the books. If at all possible, you want those to be the first 2 weeks of the month. We call it front loading. If you can, try to get as many of those bookings the first 2 weeks of the month. This is something you're going to want to make a habit as you go forward. And this will help you again. If we get a blizzard and you have your 2 or 3 bookings towards the end of the month, now you have no time to rebook them when the weather is better so that you can have them. Or if your event cancels, you don't want to be scrambling. You want your 500 ideally by the 15th of the month. That's just your goal. Doesn't have to happen, isn't always going to happen, but that's your goal. Okay, so that's the first thing that you guys need to focus on personally is getting your 500, getting those bookings, and if all possible, front loading that calendar. Okay, next up, now we got to talk about your team because here's what we know. You need 2 active frontline. So whether you have 1 or you have 2 at the moment or more, You want to get as many of your frontline as possible, a minimum active. So you need to be having that conversation with them right now. So what does your calendar look like? How many bookings do you have for November? If they say 0, then share with them what you're doing to get your bookings. If they say 1, 2, 4, however many they have, say, okay, great. How do you feel about your host coaching? If they say, I have no idea what you're talking about, I don't know anything, then you know you need to plug them in to some training specifically on host coaching. Bookings will do them no good if they don't know how to coach the host so that they're successful. So that's what you need to be doing with your team that you currently have, okay? So we have to focus on that. If you haven't already done a launch party for them, then do a launch party with them, co-host an event. I know many of us are now using what's called Vizly, Vizzlie, and that makes it super simple. Once you have Vizly set up, it's really easy to do a virtual scent event or a virtual launch, and you could co-host it with your team member, whether they've been around for 6 months, 6 days, it does not matter. Offer to help them to have a launch or a relaunch party. So that way they can get familiar. You can be involved again to help ensure that they get active. Now, I say frontline because that's what's going to help you promote to star. But if you have other team members, whether they're your frontline or not, you still need that TWV. So if your frontline has sponsored someone or they've sponsored someone, if they're on your team, I personally would do everything in my power to help them launch and or co-host party with them to get them some PRV, which for you equals TWV. Okay. So everybody with me so far, I hope. Shake your heads. Yes, no. Okay, good. Okay. So here's the next piece, especially for those of you that might have one team member. I'm going to tell you, I sponsor between typically 1 and 4 team members a month. Okay. Which is good. I mean, there's people that sponsor, 10 to 12 a month. There's people that, believe it or not, sponsor over 20 a month. And there's some that don't sponsor any for quite some time. So 1 to 4 is actually good. My goal is always 2 a month. Some months it happens, some months it doesn't. Some months I sponsor more. Like I said, it does vary, but my goal has always been 2 a month. And I don't care, again, I don't want you guys to take this personally, but here's the reality. 1 out of 3 will probably not do anything. They're going to get a kit and they're not going to do anything. Don't take that personal. So if you've got a team member that you've been banking on to get active for you and it's not happening, doesn't mean you're a lousy sponsor, doesn't mean you did anything wrong. They're just one of your numbers. Like I've had, and most of these people that have been successful in the company, we all experience it. That's not on you. But you can't just keep waiting for that person to decide to open the box and open their business and to get busy. That's why we have to continue to sponsor. So if you've got a team member that's been around for a while and they're not consistently getting active, that means we need to I'm not saying forget them, don't talk to them or ignore them, still reach out, still offer to do a launch party or a relaunch party with them. But we are no longer going to count on them being a part of our equation. They're not going to prevent us from promoting. Okay. So put them off your list and let's talk about who is going to help you get there. So remember those 6 to 8 bookings that I told you you needed to have? The goal is going to be that half of them flip as sponsors, as someone that you sponsor. And the more conversations you have, the more likelihood this is going to happen. Now, I'm not going to go into training on the host kit or into that because that's a whole different training component. And our very own Stephanie Breimer just did a really good training video on everything inclusive of how to truly utilize the host kit. So if you haven't seen that already, I will bump that out. I'll post it in this lead event so that you guys can watch it and make sure that you've seen it because she goes into great detail on how to use the host kit. But here's the reality. If you've got 6 to 8 bookings, even if only 2 of them decide to become consultants, because it's their parties, you can then flip that PRV. Guess what? Now you've got your 2 active frontline. Whether you have a team of 1, a team of 6, they're doing something, they're not doing anything, You're not putting all of that into their hands. You're now taking control of your own promotion and going next level. So that's the part I want you guys to hear is, yes, hopefully you have a great team. Everybody's working together. Everybody wants to get active. Everybody's in this to win it. The reality is for most of us, that's not going to be the case. We're going to bring in people and maybe 1 out of 3 are actually going to decide to work the business. So if you've only sponsored 1, 2, 5 people, you may not have found that person who wants it like you do. And that's okay. That is completely typical in direct sales. That's why we keep having these bookings and we keep having the conversations. And now we can use this host kit tool and we can flip the PRV and we can get them active. Okay, so that we can do this month. Okay, so I wanted to make sure and bring that up and make sure we're all on the same page with that. Now, there's a couple of other things I want to make sure you guys are plugged into, hopefully that you are. One is we have a group for leaders. It's called Leaders Moving Up. If you're a lead consultant, if you're a team of 2, you have 1 team member, you are now a leader. Okay, so that is the start of something really great. This is like my very favorite group to talk to because this is where the magic starts to happen. Okay, this is where you guys finally got to see not only is it fun, but now is where if you play this right and you stay in this and you keep doing the things we're talking about, you're going to see your business start to evolve. We're starting with Star Consultant now, but we all know it doesn't have to be a long journey to go even farther. Okay, so just know that yes, for some it takes a while. Amy Denny just promoted to director after 10 years and she has been busting the pavement for 10 years. Amanda Kearns reinstates for the 3rd time and in 7 months is a star director. So, you know, anything is possible. So there's no reason to wait. So I want you to get that out of your head that this has to be a long journey. This isn't for you. You're going to be on the slow pace. It does not have to be that way. Do these steps and it truly can evolve very quickly. So make sure you're a part of the Leaders Moving Up group. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I will share that link as well in the event that we have for this event here so that you guys can make sure you join that. Now, here's what that group is primarily used for. There's oftentimes I'm going to post like little reminders of things you should be doing with your team, for your team. There's resources that are specifically for people with a team. And the other thing is sometimes I need to call on you guys to kind of, I don't know if I want to say tame the lions or what is the phrase that people say, not my circus, not my monkeys, but they kind of are our monkeys, or I don't know. Anyways, it's just kind of funny. But, you know, sometimes there are times when I need you guys as leaders to be able to go into our group and say, guys, let's be realistic here. We are still in business. We still have products people want, you know, just kind of help the tone. And the more you practice that, the better you're going to be for it too. I will tell you that too. And watching other successful leaders, how they handle situations is going to help you. So I want to make sure that you're all a part of the Leaders Moving Up group. Next up, if you haven't already, there is a training called Lead Consultant Training. And it is more forward thinking than this. Like I'm trying to just focus you guys right now on these next 30 days or a little under 30 days. However, the lead consultant training goes in depth more about as a leader, leading a team, what that needs to look like. So if you haven't watched that recording, it is separate and different from this content. And like I said, it is something you need to be doing now, but it's a more forward thinking what that needs to look like going forward now that you're a leader. Okay, so make sure you've done that. 2 other things I want to make sure you guys are aware of, because again, you do have some responsibility to provide support and information to your team. And some of you are like, I have a team of 1, it's not so hard. Well, you know what? That can change really quick, guys. And so the more you know, and you have that current team, this is your foundation. The team you have now is what's going to build you a strong community and foundation amongst yourselves. And that's why this stuff is important right now when you can handle it. You know, until I had 100 people on my team, I hand wrote notes to every single person on my team every single month. You know, I was able to do that. But then there comes a point when you get past 100, you're like, I can't handwrite notes anymore. You guys can all have those personal touches. you guys can all have that more personal connection. And that's right now, that foundation that you're building is what's going to keep your base strong as your community grows and your team and your group grows. So I want to make sure each and every one of you guys have synced the Scentsy calendar on your phones and on your devices. This is really important. The Scentsy calendar, when you have it synced, it's going to tell you when the LTOs are releasing, when is Scentsy Family Reunion, when is the Tuesday training with Jason. You're going to get reminders on your phone, on your computer, on your devices. And that's content that not only do you want your team to have that on their phone, but that you can help send reminders and make sure that you're in the know. I know many of you guys have probably seen this. You'll see it even more so again as your business evolves. But there are times when I will see someone who's not necessarily in our organization, so in other groups and like corporate groups, I'll see a director say, you know, when is the, I don't know, holiday collection launching? And I'm thinking, okay, you are managing, you're leading a team. Like, how's that going for you? Because like, this is some kind of common information. You should know where this information is. So don't be that gal. The consultant calendar is on your workstation. It's in the menu. Click on calendar, and there's directions depending on your devices on how you can attach that to your current calendars. So that's one thing. The other is it's really important that you understand how to calculate how much more PRV you need to get paid at title and or in this case to promote. So a lot of people have a misconception, and I bet this is a Becky thing. I think she probably would do a better job of explaining this. She's the teacher, and that I am so not. So a lot of people will see the images that I share, and it'll say you need 500 PRV or 500 PRV, 2,500 TWV. It'll have a little image. You can kind of color in the TWV. So let's say it shows they have 1,000 TWV left. They're like, oh, we only need 1,000 PRV. Let's go. No, that's not how that works. There's actually a calculation, and you need to understand how that calculation and what that formula is so that you do know how to ensure you have enough GWV and to make that happen. So if you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, again, I'm going to post an image that shows the formula and how to do that calculation so that you guys can make sure that you understand it. And then as you get team members and they're on promotion watch and they're trying to promote, you understand how to do that calculation as well. Okay, so I wanted to bring that up. Okay, now what I would like to do is I am going to turn off the recording. So for those of you that might be watching the recording, I'm going to do some report training, and you will get some of this content or most of this content in the lead consultant training video. I do a portion of that, so you guys can catch up with us there. So I'm going to turn off the recording now.